Hello and welcome back. I thought I will do an update on a previous tutorial which I did in August about the Sunhour analysis in Rhino 3D, Grasshopper and Ladybug. And I want to do that because first of all we have a new, since November we have the new Ladybug tools, and second because there were several questions and there's a bit of a confusion on how the new Ladybug tools work. And some didn't actually realize that they have installed the new one. But I did my tutorial with the legacy plugins. The new tools are a bit different, I admit, but I feel that the developers really thought a bit about the workflow, and it seems like that some tools are more straightforward and you can still achieve the same output, and it even feels a bit faster. So let's jump right in. I will basically recreate the Sunhour analysis tool just with a different model, but it doesn't matter. It's gonna be the same thing but with the new Ladybug tools. So for that reason I built this very simple model. It's don't judge me of my architectural design skills. It's just for the purpose. And you can see already that it works, and it was already done with the new Ladybug tools. So I will just go into Grasshopper to show you that. Yeah, you can see it's actually much smaller. So it's same script, it does the same thing, and it's actually much smaller and it's much more straightforward. And we will rebuild this from scratch. So I will just open a new document so it's easier. Okay, let's bring this here. Yeah, these are the new tools, the new Ladybug tools. When you install it, please read carefully what you have to do, because you have to actually execute a bat file in the Ladybug tools folder in order to run that properly. And yeah, so what's the difference? So first of all, I think some of the code which was previously in the Ladybug file, which we had to place into the script, are actually now inside the different tools. That's what I think. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I think. And that's why we don't need to place the Ladybug tool anymore. So that's an advantage, because it was very confusing to do that in a way. So okay, well, what do we need to do? So first we need the sun path, Ladybug sun path. That gives us the vector of the sunlight. And we need the Ladybug direct sun hours. That gives that will analyze your model. If we go now step by step through here, because I really like to start from the end result component, because then it will just tell me what I need to input in order to finish that script. So the vector, here's written sun vectors from the Ladybug sun path. That's the sun path, and it has a vector output. Vector output, I can already connect that. It doesn't do much yet. By the way, if these two tools are red, and in your in this like error message box appears that a Ladybug was not loaded properly, then you need to check what's wrong with your installation, and there is something wrong with your installation. Well, it says we need the geometry, time steps. That will basically calculates a certain interval out of your analysis period. We don't need that now. That's something where you can play around with on your own. We need the geometry, so we need the geometry we want to test. And in that case, this is that landform here, and I created a separate surface for this terrace, and then also one for the upper level floor and terrace. And I'm adding a B-wrap, and I set multiple B-wraps, and just confirmed. And now we have our test model, or the test surface, stored in here, and we can just plug it in. And the context is all the rest. So I would, since this is one model, I can just take this, the roof, and this one. And this is my, oh, that was wrong. So I need to, yeah. So now when I select this, you can see everything which is green is what I stored in here, and then everything green which is now green is stored in here. This is the geometry where I want to analyze, which I want to analyze. We can put this in here. What we also need is a run button to run the script, which we can do with a toggle, Boolean toggle. And we need the grid size. Without grid size doesn't work. So we need to give the tool an idea and which grid size we're working in. That meaning the resolution of the test. By the way, I'm here in meter. So if you want to change from another unit to meter, which would make sense in that case, because otherwise your script might get crazy. So for example, if that is set to millimeter and you put the grid size 1, then it will not finish the calculation. It will just calculate for a really long time. Well, depends on how complex your model is also. If you want to change it, go here and go to unit settings and change it to meter. You can do that here. Okay, so that's done, and then we need the grid size. I'm gonna put a slider here and say maximum 10. Let's put this to 10. So it means it will divide my test surface in a grid size where the grid lines are 10 meters apart. And now in theory I could run it. But of course it didn't got any vectors. So we need, so it will tell you actually here that this object contains one warning. Click on the balloon to see all the messages. Input parameter vectors failed to collect data because there is no data yet, right? So it has 0 data. So we need to actually look into that, what we need in here in order to run that. And here it says we need a location. To get a location, we can either create a location, which is just the coordinates, or we can get that from the Ladybug, from this map, which downloads the weather data. I'm gonna take this and move it a bit. So we need this file that will extract the weather data from the weather URL or from the folder, depending if you download the weather data, it's also possible. And we need this one, the Ladybug EW EPW map. What is also nice, they actually cleaned up the workflow, because these are the things you always need first. We could then add this here that gives us, that will open the weather file and will also give us the location. But in that case, we only need the location, so we will do it without this script, or with this component. We will do it with this one. Ladybug import location. That will just give us, that will just extract the location from the EPW file. And here we need a toggle again. So on the panel, we need a panel. So I can click here. That will bring me to the weather data. Let's get something interesting, like something really north, maybe. Copy. Just copy. It doesn't show you anything, but it's now already copied into the clipboard. And now we can go back. We click here, double click, and Control V, and then OK. Don't put enter, just put OK. If you are here and you press enter, then it will not understand the URL. So your cursor, your blinking cursor, need to be here. We can put this in the weather data. It takes a while. It will downloads the weather data and stores it on your machine. And we can turn this off. And now we have the weather data loaded, and that gives us a location. So this is Kiruna in Sweden. And we gonna, you can see here the coordinates inside, and we just plug this in here. Okay. Now, the problem is that in order to get a vector, we also need to have, that's a bit confusing, because I told you before that only the underscore, where the underscore is on the front, is what you need to put in. It's also true for this, because in theory that doesn't need anything else, but actually it does. So just imagine that here below the location there's this HOYS, means hour of the year, I think, and it's a number of the hour in the year. The year has 8,760 hours, and any number between 0 and that number is an hour of that year. And normally this is set to 0. So the default value might be 0, or there's no value in there. That means it cannot actually have a vector, because it doesn't know when you want to, so which time you want to measure. So in theory, what you could do is you could just get a slider, let's say 8,600. No. And put this in here. And that will give you the direct sun hours, the direct sunlight for that specific hour. And it also gives you this kind of the sun path diagram. I'll also show you where the sunlight is. And you can, of course, make this bigger. I think there's the scale. Yeah, it doesn't show me the sun at the moment, but it doesn't really matter. So this is just a visual aid to see where the sunlight might be. previously there was like a way to scale that. You still can scale the entire diagram, but if you want to scale that the sunlight only, or the sun, then you could also take this point and add a sphere and a radius. And then you can change the size of that if you want. That gives you the position of the sunlight. For sure there's a way to make that. Maybe you might be able to change it in the legend parameters daily. I cannot see it here really, but that would be a way to do it if you want to see that. I'm less interested in that. I just want to see the analysis on my model. So I actually turn this off, and so I can only see what's in here. And you can see that it already works, but it would be much nicer to actually see like the analysis over a period of time. And also the grid size, it looks a bit strange with the 10 meters. So if we go down here, it's getting more refined. We can also restrict that, so minimum is 1. It's also very hard now to actually know what day is that in the year, which hour is that. It's a bit tough to understand. So it's actually very, very easy to create this script. It's quite nice. Now if we want to analyze a whole, like a period of time, then let's get rid of this. Let's turn this off so it doesn't crash. Ladybug has still its analysis period tool, and in here we can put sliders for month, day and hour, and this goes from 1 to 12. Let's say the start month is 1, and then we create the day, which is 31, from 1 to 31, and the hour from 1 to 24. Then we copy that, end month, end hour. Oh, sorry, here, and this goes here. So we can control the start hour and the end hour, and that gives us for each hour in that period a vector, and this tool will just calculate the sum of these vectors onto the surface. Let's put, because now it's just the same day, let's put the end month as a, maybe let's calculate a half year. I have to say it feels much faster, the Ladybug Tools, the new Ladybug Tools. That's why I trust I can put that in here. And the end date 31, as long as this is green, it works. And here I'm not sure why this doesn't work. So it works when it's 23. Oh yeah, they changed the hours. They changed the hours from 0 to 23. Meaning they used the start of the hour as a measuring number. Because in the previous it was from 1 to 24. But it kind of makes sense to have it now from 0 to 23. So that would be 23. and also here. And it gives me a period of the half year from January. And the period, and now instead of giving the period, because that the script cannot read, I give them the hour of the year, the hour of the years, the hours of the years. I don't understand this. HYS, I don't understand. Anyway, we need to place this in here. And this immediately jumped from orange to gray, which means it works. And now we can just play again. Voila. That worked pretty fast actually. And you can see, yeah, here I have a different material, so it's let's close that here. Yeah, it works pretty good. Here I have just a different material in here. That's why it looks different. You can take that out. So this is the direct sun hour analysis in the new Ladybug Tools. If you have troubles with it, just send me a message. Sometimes what's happened is that you place a number and it's, for example, 1 or 0, then it doesn't work because there's actually no sunlight during these hours. So that means you need to provide, so if there's no sunlight, it means the sun is not here to actually create a vector. If you look at this model, you see that it starts from the horizon. And if the sunlight is on the other side of the planet, then if the sun is on the other side of the planet and not yet risen, then it cannot create a vector, and that might confuse somebody. So if I put another number here, let's check. It seems there's no direct sunlight for quite a long time. And that so and then you can see that it also doesn't work. So if there's no sunlight and there's no vector, then this component doesn't work. By the way, you can animate this if you want. In theory, you could animate that by clicking here and animate, and that will just output. So you can place the frame count here, maybe 300, and then we'll output bitmaps onto your onto the selected folder for each frame. So it will go through from number 1 to and so on. Actually, I started it now. I didn't want. Okay, escape, and it's closed. Cool. I think that's. I hope that helps. And I'm actually quite excited now to look more into the new Ladybug tools. I think they're quite straightforward. I'm not sure if they have still all the components, but probably they have. Okay, so I hope that helps a bit. This is my model. And I just do a screenshot here because I want to use that as my cover. Capture the file, okay. Yes, yes. Crashed. That's not cool. Might should buy a new graphic card. Well, that is a different problem. That shouldn't be a problem for Ladybug. So, see you next time.